What if I told you that girlhood, actual real girlhood, is disappearing? That somewhere between TikTok transitions and PR unboxings, we've turned childhood into a content aesthetic and turned little girls into influencers before they even hit puberty. Today, being a teenage girl is not about awkward phases or innocence. It's about angles, engagement, image. It's about looking older, acting older, and knowing exactly what gets attention. One built by social media, enforced by brands, and fueled by millions of fans who will love you for growing up fast and shame on you the second you actually do. In this video, we're going to look at the teenage influencers shaping this trend, not just what they post, but how they're part of something bigger. From Piper Rochelle's controversy glow up to 12-year-old Siwa Eve navigating the ruthless world of K-pop, to the Bob House turning girlhood into a viral spectacle, to Tatiana live streaming toxic romance for millions. Every story you're about to hear is real, and every story points back to the same problem. This isn't about the disappearance of childhood, about the commodification of femininity before girls even understand it, about why so many teenage girls feel like if they don't act older, they'll be left behind. If you've ever scrolled past a 16-year-old and thought to yourself, wait, this can't be right, just stay with me, we need to talk. This is the pressure to grow up online, and these are the girls living through it. Let's start with the one girl who has become the face of this entire shift, Piper Rochelle. Let's go back to when YouTube and TikTok felt innocent. When 12-year-old girls danced in their bedrooms with LED lights and wore oversized hoodies. That era didn't last long. What we're seeing now is a trend of teenage girls skipping right over girlhood and walking straight into adulthood with ring lights and brand deals as their backdrop. And some of the biggest names in this trend, you already know them. Before we dive right into this video, I'd advise you go get a drink because this is gonna be a long one. Let's dive right into it. Piper Rochelle, 17 years old, the poster girl of this trend. Piper Rochelle is no stranger to the algorithm. She started off as the bubbly kid next door on YouTube, making slime, playing challenges, and vlogging her entire life with other creators in the era of innocent, goofy YouTube. She had a huge fan base, but somewhere along the line, something shifted. As she entered her teens, the content evolved. Suddenly, the thumbnails got more provocative, the outfits became tighter, the angles more deliberate. She went from relatable teen to full-on Instagram model real quick. And the audience noticed. But here's one thing, so did the brands. She's been accused of leaning into adult aesthetic, while her fan base is still largely under the age of 13. In fact, a 2023 lawsuit filed against her mother and management claimed Piper was being exploited for financial gain, encouraging to post this word, suggestive content for clicks. Piper's teams denied the allegation, but the conversation stuck. What's important here isn't just one influencer's evolution, it's the system that rewards it. The more she leaned into adult-coded visuals, the more engagement she got. That is not coincidence, it's a pattern. Princess Amelia, 16-year-old, the fastest transformation. Then you've got Princess Amelia. On the surface, she's just another TikTok teen, right? But scroll through her feed and you quickly realize this is not what 16 used to look like. People were flawed to learn she wasn't in her 20s. Her makeup, fashion, the way she posed, it all mimicked adult influencers. But here is the hypocrisy. The same people who praised her for being so mature were also the ones criticizing her when they found out that she was only 16. You are too grown for your age, but you look so good. It's a double bind. This speaks to something deeper. There's a cultural obsession with youth that looks like adulthood. The less like a child 18 appears, the more praise they get until it becomes too uncomfortable. Then suddenly, it's her fault for growing up too fast. Lord have mercy, 17 years old, when social media becomes a runway. Next, there's Lord have mercy, a 17-year-old Instagram model with skin like velvet, poses like Naomi Campbell, and the confidence of someone who's twice her age. Her look is editorial, her fashion is intentional, and engagement is through the roof. She represents a specific aesthetic that's often seen as too grown for someone her age, but she's also exactly what the algorithm rewards: polished, poised and provocative. Here is what makes it even more complicated. She is not just participating in a trend, she's shaping it. Younger girls are watching her. They're copying the poses, buying the clothes, trying to get the same engagement. But the problem isn't her confidence or her self-expression. It's how the internet reacts to it. One scroll through her comment section and you see thousands of preteen girls idolizing her, trying to be like her, trying to look like her, and nobody is asking why do they feel the need to grow up too fast just to be seen. Say or Eve, 12 years old, the K-pop machine's youngest star. Forgive me if I pronounced that name wrong, I'm so sorry about that. And then we have the youngest person in this conversation, Se or Eve, a 12-year-old K-pop singer who went viral for her catchy single, Mahatangulu. She is talented, no doubt, but the way she is styled, the industry is already aging her up at just 12 years old. In her videos, she's dressed like a miniature idol, full glam, midriff tops, platform boots. This isn't new in the K-pop industry. The industry is known for training kids as young as 10 and debuting them as early as 12, often with visuals that blur age lines. And let's be real, if you put a 12-year-old in a grown woman's shoes, the audience won't see a child, they will see a woman. And that objectification, it's not coming from nowhere. It's systematized, it's intentional, and it's profitable. These girls didn't wake up one day and decided to act older. They're responding to what works, what trends, what sells. Because from Instagram likes to YouTube thumbnail, the message is clear. Girlhood isn't enough. If you want to matter, you have to grow up. Section 3. The role of social media and industry influence. We've talked about the girls. Now let's talk about the system. The apps, the algorithm, the brands, the billion-dollar machine that makes all of this possible. Because these teenage influencers aren't operating in a vacuum. They're part of a much bigger web that's built to reward one thing, engagement. And what gets engagement? Controversy, aesthetic, and anything that makes people stop scrolling. The algorithm doesn't care about your age. Let's start with the elephant in the room. TikTok and Instagram don't care how old you are. If you're 13 and posting thirst traps in a bodycon dress, you will get views just like someone who is 23. In fact, sometimes you will get even more views. Why? Because controversy performs well. Studies have shown that outrage and moral concern drive virality. That means when people are shocked or disturbed, say by a 15-year-old dressed like a more mature influencer, they are definitely likely to share, comment, and engage. The algorithm doesn't see discomfort, it sees traffic. Kidfluencers are the new micro celebs. Let's be honest, these girls are celebrities now. Not in the traditional Hollywood sense, but in the new TikTok hierarchy, where millions of views are just another Tuesday, and when a sponsored post can make more than a month's rent. And brands, they've noticed, because why not? Companies like Shein, Runway, and even big name beauty brands send PR packages to these girls, not because of their age, but because of their influence. If their audience buys, their age becomes irrelevant. But that creates a twisted cycle. The more they conform to adult beauty standards, the more their brand grows. The more their brand grows, the more they get rewarded for staying in that space. And stepping out of it by, say, dressing their actual age, that will kill their momentum, and no teenager wants that. When brands sell grown-up clothes to kids, let's talk about the clothes. It's easy to blame these girls for dressing too old, but we should really be asking, who's selling this to them? Shein has an entire section called Shein Teens. The clothes, guess, cropped, tight, and low-cut. Fashion Nova has been criticized multiple times for selling hyper-feminine adult-styled pieces to girls as young as 11. The clothing industry have realized that there's money in mini adults, in turning childhood into something marketable, especially when it's filtered, face-tuned, and wrapped in a bow of fake luxury. The rise of hyper-editing and Instagram face culture. But it's not just about what they wear, it's about how they present themselves. In 2022, a Journal of Adolescent Health study found that 84% of girls aged 13 to 17 edited their photos before posting them. 65% said that they felt pressure to look perfect, not from boys, but from other girls. Now, I don't really like opening up, but I just need to say this. Growing up, I was told I looked like a man and I was ugly by girls, other girls my age. And for a few years, I carried that mentality. So me, I felt like I was ugly because of what other girls told me for years at a time. It took me a very long time for me to get away from that mentality. I know that I am beautiful in my own way, even though other girls don't necessarily see me as pretty or beautiful. I just had to accept the fact that I am who I am and I cannot change myself. This is internalized surveillance. These girls aren't being judged by men, they are performing for each other and the algorithm. Let's not forget that. When industry meets exploitation, a profitable mix. Behind the ring lights and brand deals are managers, parents, PR teams. Some of these girls are being actively coached, styled, and monetized by adults. Adults who knows exactly what sells. And that is the disgusting part to all this. Take the Piper Rochelle lawsuit, for example. It wasn't just about exploitation. It was about the machinery behind the content. The people making decisions about what she wore, what she filmed, what her thumbnail looked like, all with the goal of maximizing profits.
So when we ask, why are these girls acting so grown?
We're asking the wrong question. The real question is, who taught them that girlhood doesn't sell? And what happens when growing up becomes a performance before they've even figured out who they are? Section 4. Peer pressure, bullying, and internalized shame. Not every teenager wants to wear lashes, tight clothes, and overlined lips. In today's social media landscape, looking young is no longer seen as cute. It is seen as embarrassing, and no one enforces this more ruthlessly than other girls. The pick me and the baby girl binary. If you dress older, you're trying too hard. If you dress your age, you're basic and immature. There is no middle ground. You're either a baddie or a baby, and being called baby is the ultimate insult in this space. What we're seeing here is a very specific type of internalized shame, where girlhood itself becomes cringe, where balls, fun colors, and comfort clothes aren't just unfashionable, they are socially unacceptable. It's the "I'm not like other girls" phenomenon dressed up in Fashion Nova, but now it's starting early, at 12, 13, sometimes even younger. An example I'll use is the minor bop house versus normal girls. Let's talk about the minor bop house. A group of mini influencers, most between the age of 13 and 17, live, dress, and act like grown women. They've been praised for their confidence, their brand deals, their lifestyle, but also widely criticized for how adult their content is. But when other girls try to call them out, guess what happens? They get bullied. They are called jealous. They are called ugly. They are told to level up. What a world we live in. In the eyes of fans, the Bop House isn't just goals, they are the standard. We now have 8-year-olds looking at 14-year-olds and saying, "I want to be like her," and if you don't look like her, you are falling behind. Princess Amelia and the "you are too grown" paradox. We've touched on Princess Amelia earlier about how people thought she was in her 20s until her real age 16 was revealed. For years the paradox, when she looked older, she was praised for her glow up, but once people realized she was still a teen, suddenly the same commenters flipped. They started saying she was doing too much and she was overexposed, but she didn't change, the perception did. And that is how fickle this system is. You are rewarded for looking older until you get called out for it. The bullying of childish girls. But what about the girls who don't play into this, who still wear pink sweaters, glasses, cartoon shirts? They are the ones getting torn apart. The bullying here isn't just passive. It's active, from classmates, from randoms online, from followers who think you owe them a transformation. This creates what psychologists call a false maturity loop, where girls skip phases of identity development to meet aesthetic standards just to be accepted by their peers, and they lose something important in the process, the chance to just be kids. Comparison culture is killing girlhood. In a 2023 Pew Research study, 69% of girls aged 13 to 17 said that they felt not pretty enough after using social media for more than an hour. 52% said they felt pressured to look like influencers they follow. The age group most affected, 11 to 14 years old. The digital playground has become a runway. If you're not dressed to impress, you get benched. Now, I forgot to mention this when I was talking about the big brands that capitalize off these girls as a whole. I was browsing through Shein Teens. I was just going through them and I saw that they have a twin section. If you don't know who a twin is, they are girls between 8 and 12 years old. And I won't show the pictures that I saw, but just know they are very concerning. I'm gonna show one that is still kind of better. I saw a lot of things that made my mouth drop. Why is an 8-year-old wearing this? I saw a picture where they were advertising this whole set of trousers and tops and all, and they intentionally tied the shirts to be cropped. This isn't supposed to be. Why are brands capitalizing off little children like this? So we've seen the pressure from the brands, the apps, the pairs, but what happens when parents are the ones pushing this image or even profiting from it? Next, we're diving into a more complicated topic: when family turns into management and when your childhood is part of the content calendar. Section 5: Influencer parents and the business of girlhood. What if your mom was also your manager, your content strategist, your brand consultant? For many young influencers, that isn't a what if, it's their reality. The rise of family vlogging, kids' TikTok accounts, and Instagram pages run by their parents has created an entirely new role: the influencer parents. As a case study, I'm going to use Piper Raquel and her mom, Tiffany Smith. Piper Raquel's story is often pointed to as the blueprint of growing up on social media. Started making kid-friendly content on YouTube, challenges, slime, vlogs, all managed by her mom, Tiffany Smith. But as Piper aged, her content began to shift. Outfits became tighter, poses became more mature. Her mom, still in control of her account and career, pushed her towards modeling and brand deals. This led to massive backlash. Critics accused her mom of exploiting her, profiting off a curated version of Piper that catered more to grown audiences than kids. The lawsuit didn't just accuse Tiffany of micromanaging Piper's brand, it accused her of creating an unsafe work environment for multiple children. Danielle Cohn and her age lie. I know that Danielle Cohn is now well over the age of 18, but there's a reason I decided to talk about her in this video too. She blew up on Musically for her lip syncs and trendy outfits, but people quickly began to question her age. Her father later revealed that she was 2 years younger than what her mother claimed. Why the lie about her age? Because being older meant more brand deals, more independent, and more profits. Danielle's mom, who managed her career, denied the claims, but the damage was done. By then, Danielle was already posting lingerie pictures, modeling for adult fashion brands, and being that word in comment section. And now Danielle is not at fault for disgusting people diswording her. You are extremely disgusting if you ever disword a minor. In both cases, the line between parenting and management blurred completely. The girls weren't being raised, they were being marketed, and that is the sad part to all this. And when your childhood becomes content, nothing is sacred anymore, not your privacy, your body, or your agency. According to Dr. Donna Rockwell, a clinical psychologist specializing in fame and youth development, children raised in influencer environments often lack boundaries between performance and identity. They may grow up never learning who they are, only what gets likes. So if companies are capitalizing off teen girls and followers are rewarding them for acting older, and even parents are managing them like brands, what chance do these girls really have to just be kids? Up next, what happens when this entire aesthetic, this curated girl boss lifestyle becomes a trend and suddenly everyone wants to join in? Section 6: The rise of the mini baddie, when girlhood becomes aesthetic. There was a time when teenage girls dressed like teenage girls, but now there's a uniform: lashes, acrylics, tight crop tops, low-rise jeans, pouty faces, and a clean girl aesthetic mixed with softcore glam. It's the mini baddie look, and it's everywhere. It's not just how you dress, it's how you pose, how you move, how you exist online. And for many girls, it's not even a choice anymore, it's the default. As a case study, I'm gonna be using Lord Have Mercy to explain the two grown aesthetic. Take Lord Have Mercy, a 17-year-old dark-skinned Instagram model who's often mistaken for being in her 20s. She has millions of views, a high fashion aesthetic, and all the markings of a seasoned influencer. But her look has always triggered an intense debate. Why do you look so grown? People ask. Some fans admire her beauty, others accuse her of trying too hard to be an adult. But here's the twist: she isn't trying to be anything, she's just fitting into the standard that the internet made. One that says, this is what pretty looks like now, get in line or get clowned. Anawana XD. teen Baddie energy. Anawana XD is another teen influencer who have perfected this aesthetic. Long nails, slow camera glances, flex videos. She has mastered what TikTok calls the Baddie energy. But this isn't just fun content. It's a full-blown social media template. It tells other girls, this is how you get respect, likes, followers. Not by being smart, funny, or just even being yourself, but by performing the grown version of girlhood. Now, let me use this opportunity to talk about commentary channels that are calling these young girls bobs. How dare you? How dare you open your mouth and call a young girl a bob? Do you know what a bob is? I'm going to tell you the full meaning of a bob. Can you guess? Blown out. Why would you ever call a young girl a bob? Are you not ashamed of yourself? At your 20-something-year-old and you're calling somebody that is this young a bob, and you're so happy about it because you get to make a video about it, calling these girls and oftentimes even degrading them in the process. The pressure to perform. The rise of the many baddie is a symptom of a deeper problem. These girls are just mimicking what the world around them has already rewarded. And when that world only praises you for looking hot, mature, and perfectly created, that's what you become. It's not about growing up fast, it's about survival, about getting attention, about staying relevant and avoiding bullying from other girls who will tear you down if you dare look your age. So what does this tell us? It's not that these girls are trying to be grown. It's that growing up doesn't happen offline anymore. It happens in front of the camera, one viral look at a time. Coming next, what happens when social media doesn't just influence girls but fully recruits them into influencers factories like the Bob House? We are already halfway through. Oh my goodness. Brace yourself. Before we move any further, I am making a video that is coming out soon and I need your opinion on some things. So there's gonna be a Google Forms link below. Just click on it and please give me your opinions. I've had a lot of fun reading different opinions from different people and it's just so good getting to see from other people's perspective. So please give me your opinion on some things and yeah, thank you in advance. Let's dive right back into the video. Section 7. The Bob House and the Factory of Fame. Welcome to the Bob House, part content house, part teenage dream factory. A place where young adults team up to become the next generation of viral stars. But behind the aesthetics, there's a carefully built system teaching kids how to sell themselves online, sometimes before they've even finished middle school. These young adults live together, post together, dress alike, and follow content calendars that mirror adult influencer schedules, and they are really good at it. Aya Tanjali, the Gen Alpha blueprint. Aya Tanjali blew up on TikTok at just 13 years old. She went from fun dances to full-fledged branding. Her confidence, her style, and her ability to perform maturity made her a viral hit. But it also sparked controversy because people forgot that she was still a kid. Fans admired her confidence, but critics asked, is she being coached? Where are her parents? Is this really just fun, or are these girls being molded for profits? The factory system, how these girls are packaged. Everything in the Bob House is streamlined, aesthetics are aligned, dances are synced, poses matched. It's a formula and it works. But this level of coordination raises serious questions. When you're 12 and being managed like a brand, are you still a creator or are you a product? Each girl becomes an extension of the next. If you don't look a certain way, dress a certain way, or wear the trendiest clothes, you don't go viral. But what happens when this all becomes normalized? What happens when every girl thinks she needs a ring light and a stage name to matter? How this pressure plays out when the industry gets involved. Section 8. Brands, beauty, and the business of growing up too soon. It's not just peer pressure, it's not just social media trends, it's a business, a calculated one at that. Teen girls are being sold a fantasy, one that says you can be confident, beautiful, and admired if you look older, act older, and dress like you're 22. And companies are more than happy to package that fantasy for profits. From Shein's teen wear line to brands like Fashion Nova Kids. These aren't just clothes, they are signals, cutouts, bodycon fits, crop tops, all in XXX sizes for preteens. Even skincare brands have joined the trend. Teen girls are dropping hundreds on retinol, anti-aging serums, and even Korean glass skin routines they don't even need yet. An example I'll be using is Eliana Calogera's and brand marketing. There's a reason I choose to use her. Over the past, let's just say 2 years, the Calogera sisters have blown up entirely on all social media platforms. Eliana Calogera's is only 17 years old, but her feed could belong to a 25-year-old model. Her style, lightning, and posing mimicking the kind of brand you'd see in a professional fashion magazine. She works with brands that align with this image. It is a look that says, I am grown up, I am ready. But ready for what? This isn't just personal style, it's a curated business aesthetic, and brands know that mature looking teens get more clicks, more save, and more dollars. There is one thing I would like to add to this because it's one of my personal experiences, the fear of missing out, FOMO. I've always felt FOMO, at least when I was growing up, because I saw people my age not acting their age. But the fear of missing out can really catch up to you, and I really hope that every teenager out there outgrows that phase. We are not teaching girls to grow up too fast, we're monetizing their rush to get there. If you don't look older, you are left out. If you do, you are rewarded with sponsorships, praise, and opportunities, even if it comes at the cost of your mental health. But the lines between self-expression and self-objectification is blurry, and some of these girls are walking that line blindfolded. Section 9. When entertainment blurs with reality. Jojo, Siwa, Euphoria, and the teen edge complex. There has always been a push and pull in teenage identity between innocence and independence, sweetness and this word. But now, that tension is being broadcast to millions with an aesthetic. Jojo Siwa, the reinvention of a childhood brand. Jojo Siwa used to be the definition of kid-friendly, a rainbow-colored brand built on glitters, bows, and positivity. But in 2023, everything shifted. Her new single, Kama, shocked fans. Gone were the bows and in with the fishnets, leather, and a dark pop vibe. The internet reacted fast. Some called it a rebrand, others saw it as liberation from being boxed into a child's persona. But here's the catch. Even her transition shows the same pressure we see in other teen influencers, the need to appear more mature, more edgy, more desirable to a grown-up audience. It's not just growing up, it's growing up in public with performance at the center. The Euphoria effects. Styling the teenage breakdown. The show Euphoria glamorized a new archetype, the mercy, hyper, this word, emotionally damaged teenage girl, dripping in glitter, confidence, and trauma. While the show is meant to be critic, it's often consumed as aesthetic. Teens post TikToks, recreating Maddie's looks, Cassie's breakdowns, and Rue's mood swings. It's a performative pain. And suddenly, being a troubled teen becomes trendy. Why this matters? When teens are exposed to entertainment that conflates emotional instability with desirability, it shapes how they present themselves. And when influencers mirror those behaviors for likes, like crying on camera, posting breakup texts, making cheating scandals into TikTok series, it becomes a feedback loop. We're teaching girls that suffering is an aesthetic, that being desirable means being damaged, that chaos equals charisma. So when Jojo Siwa sheds that bow and picks up black lipstick, she's not just rebranding, she's stepping into a mode that the internet has already created for her. In the world of viral entertainment, girlhood isn't just a phase, it's a product with stages, and each one needs to outdo the last. So this is just an add-on. A few days ago, I came across a video on Twitter of Tatiana's boyfriend dragging her phone from her hand in public, might I add. And a lot of people were asking, is this staged? Is this real? Is Tatiana really 2 months pregnant? Because there's a rumor now that she's 2 months pregnant. And I was part of the people who talked about Tatiana about 6 months ago. You should probably go and watch that video. I called out her boyfriend, who is extremely terrible of a person. Why would you ever date a 16-year-old that you're more than 7 years older than with your full chest? Are you not ashamed of yourself? And I'll continue to ask this question. It is so easy to blame the girls, but what about the men who entered this relationship knowing fully well that this girl is 16, a minor? And there is something we say in Nigeria: the more slaps you collect, the more money you get. And this affects women the most. I was supposed to film this video a few days ago, but I decided to wait a few more days so I can do more research. research, and guess what I saw immediately I opened TikTok? A video of Tatiana flexing her wealth, bags, flowers, money, and in my mind I'm like, how do you expect girls to ride for you, to make sure that you're doing good in anything you do, if after all this controversy comes out and you come out to flex the money that this same guy gave to you? We claim feminism, but when other girls come out to make sure that you are okay, they're automatically called jealous and they should level up their own lifestyle if they want to live like you. We claim girlhood, but this is what two women are doing on the internet, going after each other's neck just because of a man that cheated. Be so for real. So what are we teaching, girl? Let's bring it all together. From Piper Rochelle to Princess Amelia, from the Bob House to Bad Baby. We've watched a generation of girls grow up on screen. What is the cost of all this? We tell girls to be confident, but only if it's pretty. Be successful, but only if it looks effortless. Be young, but not too childish. The result of this, a generation that's been taught to perform instead of grow. Influencer culture has made girlhood look like a runway, but in reality, it's supposed to be messy, weird, awkward, and safe. This isn't about canceling teen influencers or blaming girls for the system they were born into. It's about asking who benefits when girls grow up too fast, and what happens to the ones who don't want to. Thank you all for staying to the end. I don't know what to say. This is probably my longest video to date. That is all for this video, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Bye.